Police officers of Reddit. What stupid law have you enforced just because someone was an a-hole? Excessive noise from a vehicle. I never give that ticket because it's kind of a waste of time compared to what I could be doing, but also most people have the common sense not to be blasting their ship at 150 decibels around the fuzz. I just finished a call at Walmart. It's Walmart, so the parking lot is packed. People, kids, families everywhere. This truck starts rolling through super slow. Dude had the ducking power stone hooked up to his sound system. Pure wick move. Pulled him over, just have the conversation about respecting others. Guy was a wick. Like a huge, floppy, angry green wick. He got $1,100 worth of tickets where he could have gotten a warning if not for the attitude. We have a small children's garden/park in our city. I was walking through one day and saw a guy picking cherry tomatoes off the plant and eating them. They're for looks and not eating, and there's a sign at the entrance that says that. I politely told him to stop eating the tomatoes and pointed out the sign to him, explaining that the fruiting plants were there for the kids to see and that any food that comes from them will be picked and given to a homeless shelter. He didn't agree and picked another tomato and ate it right in front of me. I remembered that our city has an ordinance called intentional damage to city-owned shrubs and trees, which carries around a $450 fine. He got a ticket for it that day. It's the only time anyone can ever remember that statute being used. Another time I pulled a car over because he had a cover over his license plate that used to be clear. Clear covers are legal, but had been damaged by the sun and weather to the point that you could barely read the plate under it. That's not legal. I stopped him with the intent of just letting him know of the problem and writing him a warning. When I told him why I stopped him, he picked up a book from his passenger seat with our state code of laws in it and asked me to show him where in the book it said he couldn't have a faded cover. He was a real base about it too. I told him I wasn't going to go through his book looking for the statute, but that I would go back to my car and write down the statute number for him and that he could look it up for himself. Well, guess what? Our warning tickets don't have a space for the statute number, but our real tickets do. So he got a ticket with the statute number on it. He paid his $100 fine without coming to court. Former police officer here. There was a law where I worked that banned spitting in public. I only wrote 2 or 3 people for it, and it was because the people were huge base holes. Even the prosecutors were like, really? Expectorating in public? How petty are you? My university often issued $30 tickets to students for worrying the squirrels. You literally would be barred from graduation if you didn't pay your campus tickets, so every year there were seniors freaking out cause they didn't pay their worrying the squirrels tickets from freshman year and got a letter stating that their diploma wouldn't be issued until it was paid. I usually don't add extra tickets when someone is an asshole, but depending on things start will help me make my mind on real or warning tickets. Best case I can think of is how a guy turned a DUI into a $50K bond. He decided to tear my interior door handles off while sitting in my back seat and trying to reassemble the lock so it will work and open the door. Except I was staring at him, telling him to stop, while he said he wasn't doing it. He tried it with both of them. So it's 2 felony counts of damaging government property. Then I couldn't find a spring from the door handle, so tampering with evidence, which is another felony. Then the car he drove there in was a car he was supposed to be fixing at his job and he wasn't authorized to drive it, especially since it was taken to his shop for an oil change. He worked at a dealership and repaired cars. So he had a felony vehicle theft charge for trying to drive a customer's 100K car to his ex-girlfriend's house. My call was from his ex-girlfriend, and 2 neighbors called, because he was screaming outside her door. He got public drunk and disorderly conduct for that. He was trying to hide when I got there, but he was on the second floor of the apartment, so he got another charge of obstruction. He also got the DUI charge, so his license was pretty much gone because it was his 3rd or 4th DUI. Only charge that got dropped was tampering with evidence because it was too petty. I figured most of it would be dismissed, but his lawyer was horrible. He stayed in jail for like a month because his wealthy parents were tired of his lip, and he drove that 100K car through their closed garage before he drove it to his ex-girlfriend's house. Cop here. Was at the end of my night shift, about to head home when I heard a crash near the detachment. Went to investigate and saw a couple of guys walking away from a local homeless feeding shelter, and a shopping cart that was thrown at the building, nearly breaking the window. Went to go have what was supposed to be a 5-minute chat about not breaking stuff on your way home from the bar, but one of the guys kept walking away from me. Just said nope, and I don't have to stop for you after I formally detained him. Wouldn't give a name or anything. Edit. Eventually told him it's an obstruction charge, which I rarely do because people are kinda jerks a lot of the time, but he kept not saying. Ended up being arrested for mischief, held overnight in the drunk tank, and a $250 ticket for obstructing a peace officer. Because he didn't want to have a 5-minute talk about not being a jerk when drunk. Cop here. I call it the base hole test. I treat everyone the way I would like to be treated, with respect and courtesy. There was one time I stopped someone for completely disregarding a stop sign in a high pedestrian area. When I walked up to the person's car, he was immediately angry and frustrated with me. Called me a few choice words, and his conduct was overall negative. I tend to give people warnings unless the offense was very reckless. This guy definitely got a ticket. First-hand patrol story here. It was a busy night a few years back, and some idiot was running around lighting anything flammable on fire, dumpsters, couches, mattresses, you name it. We ended up with guys escorting fire trucks through the neighborhood just soaking down anything that could conceivably be ignited because nobody could find this guy. I was part of the group searching for him. I passed by an apartment complex and heard a solid thud against the side of my patrol car. I looked over and saw a shirtless, curly-haired drunk guy standing in his doorway laughing. I stopped the car to inspect for damage and planned to have a little chat with the guy if there wasn't any damage, mostly to advise him that he should 1, probably stay inside because he is drunk, and 2, not throw footballs at police vehicles. He was an absolute jerk from start to finish. Long story short, we have a city ordinance entitled throwing missiles into a street, which is usually used to get people to stop blocking a street if they're playing ball in it. He is the only person I know of to actually be charged under that ordinance.